Good morning. So thank you for the introduction. It's great. My name is Brodie Stanfield. I'm from IFTech and Future Technology Inc. And what I'd like to really cover is sort of where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. So you can kind of already see where we are to a degree with what I'm wearing, but it all started with a concept, an idea. My dad and I, in our basement, started to get building it back in 2007, and we worked all the way up to where it is today, with many partners and a lot of help along the way. Sort of idea, development in between, and then finally where we're at now. But what I'd like to do is go back to October 2014, when we really started discussing with Durham College in this process. Basically what occurred, how this transition sort of occurred, we were dealing with Spark Center, we're at the incubator there, and they sort of said, who would be a great partner? Durham College. They have actually programs and expertise in regards to electrical engineering and the idea of building towards a commercialized product. So we got into talk with them, and this is actually when the project started, was October 2014, but realistically, the discussions began a lot earlier than that. There's a lot of preparation that goes into doing OC applications or any type of application, and it was kind of interesting when we went there for the first time because, Debbie, Chris Gillis, where is he? He's back there. They met us at Core 21 with Spark Center with Dennis Croft. We had our initial discussion, said where we wanted to go, how we do it, then we set up our next meeting. Our next meeting wasn't just Debbie, Chris, myself, my dad, and Dennis. There was about 8 to 10 other professors there, which is actually pretty intimidating at first, seeing on the email, these are all the people who are going to be there to discuss what's going on. So that's how it kind of began, went from there, determined the actual scope of what we needed, and then kind of progressed. From there, we've done some research with UOIT, but most of the stuff in regards to development started with Durham College, progressed to George Brown College, a few other things, and then went to industry with some Aeronautic Works and Proto 3000. But all of this became networking from the initial point of Spark Center, Durham College, networking us with George Brown College, networking with some other groups, and kind of pushing from there. So what did we do at Durham College? What were some of the main things that we did? Well, we had 34 vibratory devices in this suit. We have 8 stim devices in the undershirt, which actually moves your muscles. We have a 7.1 surround sound system, and it's a lot of pieces. And we also, the back, there's a computer in the back, as well as a big battery to allow it to be wireless as to what it is. So to start off, the main thing was how you actually get all this stuff to work together. What can you actually do? How do you do that? We had some people who said, oh, it's easy. You just, take all these parts, stick them in a shirt, and it'll be fine. But really when it comes down to it, it's a lot of hard work. We worked with some great students and 2 great teachers back there, Philip and Lauren. Thank you so much. And the first project was about the control center, how everything works together, what you really have to do to get it all working at the same time. But to do that, we had to start with bare minimum, the focus of one sensor at a time. What do they actually feel like? How does it actually work? So what these images show here is basically going through different sort of forms of how the vibratory sensors would actually be fitted into the suit, how they would feel like. You can have 34 across your body, but if they're not of the appropriate size, you now only feel little pinpoints. How do you make it so there's a full coverage? How do you make it so something can move across the body and what it actually is? So we went through variations of sizing to actually figure out what it was. How do we reduce the noise as to what it is? And it was very interesting that after a few iterations, we came up with this, pretty much a disc that you fit it into, which gives a proper dispersion across what it actually is. So that was kind of the first piece of the puzzle to what we're doing with Durham College. The next piece, though, of course, the sim shirt. We had our, what's called, basically, simplest way to kind of explain what it is. Does anyone here know what the Dr. Hose kind of stuff is? Yeah. Okay, so it works very similar to that, except with a lot more control. So we can do a lot more things with it, and it's not for weight loss or rehabilitation. That's not our focus. The main focus of this is actually for entertainment and military applications or training simulations. So you want to actually feel like you're immersed within a virtual world, whatever it may be, you have the opportunity. And what we felt the stims added to this was actually providing everything from a tingling sensation to a full-out muscle contraction. We cover the abdominals, the shoulders, and the traps. So if I want someone to all of a sudden do this, I can make them do this. If they all of a sudden, so they want to feel like a heavy load on something on their back, if they're carrying a big backpack. If you want to do weapons fire from recoil, I can actually kick your arm back as to what it is. And that combined with the vibration, you get everything from something moving across you and making you move all at the same time. So this was another portion of it. This was a big endeavor. We actually had things that I haven't shown on here. There was a few other things we tried to do instead of this portion. One thing it's type of material that actually can bend, but the amount of voltage that would be required was pretty intense. Another thing was dealing with a wiring that could actually bend, but it actually even lit. It actually not caught fire, but it burned. It burned certain material that was actually supposed to be fire retardant. So it was very interesting, making sure that these were the final things that we were pushing forward, doing what it was. So those are kind of the main portion of the initial project that we did towards the actual control center of what it was. With one main thing that had to be considered as well was Wi-Fi. How do you even go ahead and make this wireless? So there's a lot of parts and components that went into there. We did a total of 2 projects via OCE with Durham College to make sure we could jump through all these different pieces, because it's not one of those things where you could do a single project, like start, finish, it's done, get it out there. It's a very technical project, and it took a lot of hard work from the students as well as from the teachers as well as from us. We had weekly meetings to make sure everything was moving forward as need be, and trying to make sure everyone could keep up with the schedule, what they had for schooling as well as what they had for this year. So yeah, so this down here was actually one of the boards that was made and used for initial testing. What it was very it was a fun process. And I will say though, for the student Draven who actually soldered all the pieces onto that board, I don't know how many hours it took him to put the little pieces on, or the size of the microscope he had to use to actually see some of those, but that was pretty impressive when it was all done there. So I'm going to transition to George Brown College just to show you about the material, but the only reason, what I want to focus on here first off, when we got through those projects with Durham College and everything that it was, it eventually came to start in 2007, 2 years ago, 2014, started this projects with Durham College. Year later, pretty much finishing up on those projects, and finally I realized that I'm not just dealing with electronics, software, hardware, plastics, that I'm actually in the garment design industry, and I have to make it look nice. So talking with Debbie about where do we go from here, what's the next group, who can help us kind of move forward with this, and she said we have an excellent partnership with George Brown College, we can introduce you to people there. So we met them, had a great meeting and discussions, and the project went from there, but we wouldn't have had that connection without the networks that we already had. So that allowed us to do initial sketches and designs, to actually build the exoskeleton as to what it was. This is the stim shirt, the underneath portion here. If I was just wearing it alone, basically you would have, there's these connectors back here. They connect into the exoskeleton. Besides that, it's kind of like an Under Armour shirt for the most part, you could say. It's probably the best way to describe it. It's very snug fitting. When you put it on though, because you have to spray the electrode pads, it feels like a wetsuit, so if you want to wake up in the morning, it's a good way to start. So yes, that was the one piece of it. The other piece was the actual exoskeleton. So you create, once again, designs, drawings, sort of make all the different pieces and parts, and then you kind of get to what it is without even having any plastic going on it. So you put that kind of together, and you see what you have there. So we had all the work, the electronic work and stuff from Durham College is what it started with. A great basis as we move forward there. From the garment end, we had actually kind of the what we'd actually wear, how we put in there, where it'll be fitting, and how it would work. But now we had to get to the part where I pretty much am today. And to do that, we worked with 2 groups, which we actually met Proto 3000 through OCE Discovery, and just to kind of give you the benefits of networking and how important it really is, they introduced us to Neuronic Works. So every single thing that we've ever found, like sort of the best people in the industry, best people to partner with, has been through some type of network from one group to the next. So Proto 3000, 3D printing, Neuronic Works, they're an engineering firm, so they helped make sure it was finalized towards what it needed to be, and that's where I'm here now. So this is sort of today. A wireless suit that can be integrated and used with cross platforms. It has the ability to work with entertainment, whether it be games, movie, can go into training and simulation, military, police, fire, whatever, what have you. This size here is we call it one size fits all, but basically right now the top portion fits from extra small to 2XL as well, and then the stim shirts there sort of one for each different size because of the snugness, what they need. But that's kind of the idea of what it is. But what I'd like to do is sort of say the future, just to give you some interesting insights. So we're not allowed to technically talk about this, but someone else did, so I'm just posting a tweet. So we have dealt with this group here and interacted for a very long time. They're a VR solution provider, and what happened was a group in Singapore, Beach House Productions, contacted us and said, hey, we want to use your suit for National Geographic. We think it'd be very, very cool if you're part of National Geographic for an episode I can't name, but either way, what happened was we got to be a part of that. We flew to Singapore for one part of it, another part was in the States, and it was quite the interesting experience. Actually, I mentioned, what was it? I can't remember how many months ago it was at your other event that you guys had, but when I was there for that event, I mentioned we were doing something very exciting. We were very busy, but that was the exciting part. So, other things to note. Right now, we actually have run our community through private demos. They get to actually come in, B2B doing this too, and we recorded them, you know, putting the suit on, calibrating it, getting to actually try it with a movie trailer in this case. Does anyone here like superheroes by chance? So the Captain America Civil War trailer, we actually calibrated the suit so you get to pick your character you want to be. You click the button, and then you get to actually try to be Captain America, Iron Man, Bucky, Falcon through that entire experience. So that was kind of the first part. Then we let them play a game called Arma 3, which is more of a military simulation, which is really, really fun. And then finally, I get the fun of asking questions of what they thought it was like. And always good responses, so it's been very, very nice there. We're actually going to be releasing some of the video footage next week, because with the movie actually coming out on the 6th, we figured it was a very good time to kind of showcase what it could do at the same time. And then finally, we're going to be starting our sort of pre-orders next month as well, and that's going to sort of be an interesting process of kind of really explaining what everything is, how it works, and yeah, sort of going from there. So that's, I think, yeah, everything. I'm not sure if I have time for questions, but I'm definitely just going to be walking around. So no worries there. I don't think you'll have too difficult a time of finding me or seeing me. So, that's great.